So I'm going to dive straight in. We're not going to talk about rep just yet. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, but it's not really an embarrassment, but from 2012 to 2015, you were a children's event coordinator. Then you moved into digital marketing. Then you became the chief marketing officer of Airbod, then Dogsy, then Snugsy, then Nana Banana. These are all still live, by the way. Super Socks. Now Rep, and we'll go into that in a moment, but just give us a bit of context of how you have so many businesses and how do you even have the bloody time?
I mean, it's very difficult with the amount of brands that we've got. All started 12 years ago when my brother was at school. He basically started printing print-on-demand merch. That ran for about 3 or 4 years. And then we actually launched a sock brand pre-Christmas in 2017, the glory days of running Facebook ads. We literally launched some ads before Christmas. As a result of people asking for socks on our print-on-demand site, people were asking to put text on and photos on their socks. We launched a sock brand called Super Socks, and it literally kind of took off during that Christmas time. We went from doing probably 30, 40 orders a day on that to 1,500. So as you can imagine, as a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old as my brother, we were kind of thinking, what the fuck's going on here? And then after Christmas, when we looked at things, 50% of people were uploading photos of their dogs and cats. So we launched a dog and cat brand called Dogsy and Meowie, so we could specifically tailor content towards those niche targets. You know, I'm a dog lover, I'm not a cat lover, so I want to see just purely dog content, which was kind of our whole reasoning behind it. And then everything from then on out has just basically been constant innovation. We had a cushion brand that we put a face of someone on a dick, so it was called the Dickhead Cushion. So you could basically, your mate, you could send your mate and you could basically turn him into a dickhead. We had a Lad Bible post that went viral from them again. That went viral overnight and kind of kick-started the cushion brand. COVID just launched then, and so we launched a kind of miniature teddy that basically you could put your face on, and there's loads of different bodies. So if you want a naked body, if you want a person dressed as a footballer, we work with licensed brands on that, so you can put your favourite clubs like Chelsea, Spurs, and everyone onto that. And at COVID, it lent itself really nicely to that period of time when you're missing family members, missing friends. You could actually send a funny, mini version of them. Because you weren't able to obviously be with them. Keep on going and going. After COVID, Airbod, I never thought I'd be making blow-up dolls. You always get a funny reaction when someone says what products you do. But actually, Charlie and I, we saw probably 10 people on just our social medias alone going on Stag and Hen Do's, buying the big inflatable from Amazon and sticking a personalised face mask onto it. So naturally, we always look at things like that and we go, well, why isn't there a personalised blow-up doll brand that you can customise with your face and make it unique and build a brand around it? So those are kind of the core main brands. We have other brands outside of that, but we're up to about 8 brands now under the Nerdy Banana umbrella. And then that then leads into Rep Drinks, which is a range of ready-to-drink protein shakes and hydration drinks.
And breathe.
Yeah.
Give him a round of applause, because that's a lot. And that's all we have time for. Thanks very much. But look, looking back at the early days before Rep, what did you completely underestimate how hard e-commerce was going to be for you guys?
I mean, it's a difficult question. Anyone that runs their own business knows how difficult it is. Especially for us at a young age. I was 22, Charlie was 20. Well, Charlie was earlier on. He started at school. Actually, when you're doing things like, I look after marketing, so I'm running all the ads myself. Everything I've done, I've self-taught myself. So you do have doubts about doing things the right way. And then, especially from a manufacturing point, we actually manufacture everything in-house. So currently our production facility is in Manchester, originally from Solihull in Birmingham. We moved the whole production unit up 2 years ago. But actually, it's just that whole kind of manufacturing piece. So it's really, we own everything from when the customer places the order online to the end. It's just that whole kind of piece, figuring it out and actually kind of making it work, really.
Yeah, fair enough. But have you ever kind of from the businesses, have you ever had part of the strategy was actually just reacting to whatever broke that week? Like, how'd you navigate that week on week of multiple businesses and like, oh, this is broken in here, that's not broken there, and how'd you kind of fix all that?
I think it's a blessing and a curse when you've got so many different brands under your umbrella. Like I said, we started off doing a printed merch business. And then once we'd launched the sock business, which was kind of unique gifts, funny, memorable gifts, we had to kind of divert our attention to what was bringing most of the orders in. So like I mentioned, we'd gone from doing 30, 40 orders a day to 1,500. Actually, you just have to naturally go with what's bringing in the most money and what to focus on. So actually the custom merch business has been really sidelined for the past probably 8 years. It's been trickling on in the background because all these unique custom gifts have actually taken over. You know, Christmas is a massive period for us. We do 75% of our business at Christmas time. So naturally we just had to focus on the brands that are driving most sales, really.
And is there any kind of like operational pieces that like have been rubbish in one, but for whatever reason you've carried that over to the other business, and there's just like a running theme of those kind of operational kind of nuances that like, oh, yeah, it's okay, it's not really working here, but it might work there kind of situation?
Not particularly, because they all have their own kind of production flows. It's just funny to see where we've gone to where we are now. So like on our cushion brand, like I mentioned with the Dickhead Cushion, we had 12 staff members all sat round. Everything would be hand cut, all the material, it'd be put through machine. Everything would be hand sewn, everything would be hand stuffed, then it'd be sewn again. Now, 10 years later, we look at it and we laugh because, we have all pre-cut outs. You can literally order a cushion at 3 p.m. and it can be there next day if you order express delivery. 8 years ago, it would have taken 7 days to get that. So from an operational perspective, looking back on stuff like that, it's funny to think where we've come from to actually where we are now.
Yeah, and in your experience, like obviously you're the CMO of all the businesses, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of position yourself as opposed to founder, which is great. But like, who actually owns the e-commerce performance when things actually go wrong? Who gets blamed? Like, do you just blame yourself for everything that goes wrong on that side of things, or do you kind of like, Jimmy, you fucked up and here's why?
No, it's all on us really. From that paid media perspective, just to give you an idea, the gifts business really relies on paid media for us. It has done. Again, I'll get into that more on the talk later because it's a really interesting discussion around what happens when paid media stops working. But actually, coming back to it, because of self-taught ourselves, everything, we actually have hired out, we've brought agencies on board because of doubting ourselves. Are they doing stuff that we've not? So, I mean, at the end of the day, everything comes down to you when you're running a business. You've got to take full with everything that you do. So, but we've outsourced stuff to agencies. We've hired specialists internally, and what works for the business is actually streamlining and basically.
So, because mainly agencies in the room then, and other consultants and whatnot, what is your biggest then pet peeve about working with agencies?
I've got to be careful here.
But this
honestly,
is just an honest room. It's an honest room.
No, it's been great to work with agencies. Personally, for our business and how we run, it's very seasonal. So you go up and down, up and down. The prep has to be done pre-Christmas, pre-Valentine's Day, pre-Father's Day, but the ads don't really vary too much. So it's been great to work with them. I wouldn't say there's any really pet peeve. The one thing that just didn't work for us was the monthly retainers and things like that. And actually, when you look at it and go, what we could do internally for what we were paying for, we felt that it didn't give us what we actually needed. But in other businesses, other instances, agencies are very valuable and suit the kind of business that comes to them. So,
I know from personal experience, being at Google and stuff like that, managing all these different agencies and whatnot. Like, some are fantastic, some are not so fantastic. That's just the way that things go. But like, did you have any of them kind of ever kind of like pressure you? Yeah, we know you're seasonal, but look at the other 9 months of the year. Like, we could do this and this and this just so they can get some money out of you.
Yes, probably. And it didn't work. So we kind of went back to the drawing board. The next thing we tried to do then was hire an internal specialist to basically be working on the accounts all day, every day. But for the type of business that we were, we didn't actually need that.
Okay. And what do you think your kind of like biggest, going back to operational stuff, what do you think your biggest kind of problem is in e-commerce that outsiders have never seen but dominates your time? So no one else would realize that it's really eating into your time. It's just stressing you out.
In e-commerce?
Yeah. Because everything's not rosy internally, right?
No, I think it comes back to the point of when you're running a business, and it's a very flat structure within our business. We've got myself, my brother, we've got one lady that runs some of the e-commerce stuff, and actually that's all on the digital side. We've got 2 designers that work remote, and then everything else is production. So from an e-commerce perspective, it's like you're managing so many different moving parts. You know, one day I might be running paid ads, the next I'm out in production sorting an issue out with the stuffing machine not working.
Well, you just said like you go in and out different parts of the job, right? So let's talk about your working week. What percentage is growth versus problem solving? How's your time split?
I would say for the first 6 years, it's all basically problem solving until you literally have the set kind of procedures in place, which we are at a stage now. It took us probably 8 years to realise that actually after Valentine's is our second biggest peak of the year. It took us 8 years to realise that our Christmas prep needs to start at the end of February. So you're always just navigating those challenges. So now it's more on the growth side, and we're at a position now, we've got 8 solid brands, and it is really just about marketing now and getting the brand out there.
Okay, so what do you think is the kind of like, when it comes to acquiring customers, right? So if you're acquiring a customer, or how you keep them engaged after that first purchase? Because you said like, okay, fine, someone's bought a Dickhead Cushion, right?
Yeah.
What do you do next?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and one that we had to ask ourselves a couple of years ago, because traditionally, you know, a personalised gift on an ad is quite an impulse purchase. We had to look at, and a large part of our strategy was all around building our customer list. 3 years ago, our email revenue probably accounted for around about 2 to 3% of our overall total revenue. Now today that sits at 16 to 20%, because actually we looked at it and thought, you know, if paid media did stop working that we were really heavily reliant on, what would we have to fall back on? And it's how you keep those people engaged throughout the year that aren't typically going to be buying, but then you're at the forefront of their mind when you get to a Christmas period. Actually, you know, okay, I've ordered a pair of face socks. Actually, you know, at Christmas time this year, I could buy a personalised cushion. So it's basically being engaging, and everyone has different strategies around, you know, their emails. Ours is very not salesy. It's very kind of like funny, talking to your mate, like, we saw this, you know, this is hilarious. This person did this week, or, you know, sending your photos to win a £100 gift card. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to order a blow up Tony so you can come to the European Search Awards with me. He's a bit jealous and going to Portugal next week.
We can do it in a Blackburn outfit for you as well.
No, don't do that, please. Right, so you talked about the email side of things. Who are you using? Klaviyo?
We use Omnisend. We do.
You use Omnisend, okay. Gabrielle will be happy.
Really? Yeah. To be honest, we've
Gabrielle
had
and Max, Gabrielle.
Yeah, we've had calls with Klaviyo over the years, but Omnisend's always done everything that we wanted to. The best price.
So speaking about the tools and stuff, do you two want to go have a drink together downstairs? Okay. Yeah. What's the most overpromised e-commerce tool or platform they've ever worked with? You're like, yeah, buy this. It's going to change your life, change your world, but it turns out to be a big pile of shit. You must have tried something over the years.
Not really, no. There's been nothing that we kind of invested into.
Scratch that question. Never ask that ever again. And, you know, do you feel like has there ever been a time, because obviously you work with your brother and you've been working with your brother many years, I'm sure you have a great relationship.
Yep.
But I just want to focus on that, on the family side of things, because I come from a family business background as well.
Yep.
And my brothers and my dad and business partners were all just a pain in the ass to work with at times. We used to nearly come to blows at points. There was stuff thrown everywhere. But on your side of things, what's it been like working with your brother, and what do you think has been the most difficult parts of that relationship, that you're working with a family member, but you have a business to focus on?
It's funny because when people ask, how do you work with your sibling? Obviously, everyone has different relationships with theirs. I'm not lying when I say we've never, ever had an argument within the business. We're really aligned. Everything that we do, every decision that we make, we're always kind of, oh yeah, I was going to say that, which is really probably quite rare, maybe. But ultimately, we're 10 years down the line and we haven't kind of ever had a fist fight. You know, we used to hate each other when we were younger, but actually in business and everything now, it's been a pleasure to work with each other for all these years.
Fair play. And that's very rare, to be fair, because you always hear of never work with your friends, never work with your family for all particular reasons, because you don't want to break those relationships.
Yeah.
Is he telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen, do you think? Do you think there's never been one argument or debate in the whole 8, 9, 10 years of working together?
Our main debate is at lunchtime, we go to the Trafford Centre. It's where we're eating for lunch. He eats it too, and I want Nando's or Joe and the Juice. So that's the only arguments every day, really.
Nando's wins every day, by the way. How big is the team? So I don't actually know the schematics of the companies.
Yeah, so we've got 3, 4 on the digital side. 4 or 5 on the digital side, 2 designers, 1 e-commerce manager, myself and Charlie. Charlie's responsible for a lot of the tech stuff and design work. I'm responsible for all the marketing stuff, and then everything out in production, so cut and sew operation, pick and pack. So we're up to around about 11 now. It's interesting as well because we actually have gone from having 27 employees at once to now scaling it back down to 11 because that's what works for our business.
So you have all these other businesses, successful, turning over millions of pounds. You don't have to specify how much to the audience, but then you went and created Rep Drinks.
Yes.
Why? Do you not have enough on your plate? Like, you get up in the morning and having 5 shots of espresso going, do you know what? I'm going to create more businesses today. Like, Why? Why? Just why? Why would you do it yourself?
Firstly, we love building brands, but mainly we saw there was a frustration for me personally. I'm really into health and wellness, same as Charlie. We looked at what protein shakes were on shelves, and basically we thought we could do it better. From a branding perspective, all of our brands have been built around, unique products, how it looks, how it feels to someone, and actually we looked at the market and thought, you know what, we can do this better. It's a hugely saturated market. But actually, if you can improve it by a couple of percent, actually you can make a good mark, which is what we thought we could do.
And do you actually think you've actually created something that is going to grow in a market dominated by other protein drinks and stuff like that as well? Like, because you're coming in at a crazy time, like there's already people light years ahead of you. So what makes you that bit different?
We identified 3 USPs really with a protein shake. The first was obviously ingredients. Everyone's wanting to drink better, eat better, do better. The health and wellness category is absolutely booming. When I picked up shakes on the shelves, personally from my perspective, I've had 5 knee operations, played rugby all throughout my year. So when my physio said you need to really look at your protein intake to build your muscle, I started looking at these ingredients much more in detail. They've got stabilizers, artificial sweeteners, and gums in it, all which can cause people gut issues, stomach issues. The artificial sweeteners give you a funny aftertaste on your mouth. So actually, when we looked at the ingredients, we thought, right, we can do this better. That was the first thing, but there's probably a reason why the other big brands don't do it, because it took us 16 months of development to actually make it work. The second then was packaging. So if you walk into any supermarket that you're in now, all you'll see is plastic bottles and Tetra Paks. I spent a lot of time out in America, on and off, and the choice out there is absolutely incredible. They actually have protein shakes in cans, and personally to me, I feel like it gives that kind of more premium feel to it. And then also it's sustainable, recyclable. So it offers a different kind of look and feel to your traditional protein shake. And then third was around branding, really. You walk into any shop, everything is loud, performance focused, masculine branding. Actually finding a shake that suits the modern consumer and kind of matches the ingredients with it being clean and minimal. We thought we've got 3 key USPs there that we can actually kind of really drive home and make a difference in a crowded category.
Before we go into the questions, ladies and gents, tradition, what is the biggest fuck up you've ever had? And don't tell me you haven't had any, because you're far too squeaky clean. Come on, give us some dirt. What's been the biggest fuck up you've had?
The most recent one, probably on the gift.
Recent, I like that. There's been many fuck ups.
Yeah, the most recent one on the gifting side was, and it's funny because I'm probably going to contradict myself here a little bit, but we launched a business that was outside of our core competencies. So we launched a storybook, basically, where people could upload a photo of their pets. We invested, obviously we know you have to invest to get money back in the business. Usually when we invest in a project, we give it about a year to see how it does. Every business that we've launched has basically brought cash back in within the business within the first couple of months, which has been great. We had loads of tech issues with this. After the first year, we were 100 grand down. And at that point, I think you're really in, you kind of ask yourself the question, well, we're in this deep, should we just keep going? And then it got to the third year and we were £250,000 in the hole. and it was actually kind of we're going to have to write this off completely, or we're just going to basically pour more money into it. So I'd probably say that's been the hardest kind of business lesson over the years, and one that we can take into kind of any kind of thing moving forward now, is actually really having metrics to understand what's working, and probably more regular meetings between me and Charlie to say, actually, let's cut this. But when your head's down in the business, you've got so many brands running and you're doing so many things, you kind of don't stop and kind of look up to what you're actually doing.
And that's the difficult part. And I can only implore you for like trying to run so many successful businesses at once. Like even trying to get out of bed in the morning for me is a fucking pain in the ass. Never mind trying to run a business. So we'll have time for a couple of questions. Anyone? Yes.
So on the gift business, do you do anything with marketplaces? And if you do, what role does it have? If you don't, why don't you?
Yeah, of course. So it's always hard on marketplaces. So let's take, for instance, we work with a lot of the licensed products. So Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Man City. It's great because we've got players on cushions and things like that. So the marketplace is really good for us because we can be on Prime, we can ship the stuff out next day. The difficulties is when we get an order on Prime, anyone that is, runs marketplace and has Prime. If an order comes in at 2:45, 3 p.m. and loads of them at Christmas time, it's difficult to actually ship those out. The other difficulties we've had on marketplaces like Etsy is that because all of our products are very unique, some of them get flagged for, we have personalised swimwear, so it gets flagged for like nudity and things like that, even though we're not actually showing anything. And I feel like a lot of the marketplaces are getting rid of their customer service people and just replacing it with AI. So we've had our Etsy account that's doing a significant amount of business, it's just switched off overnight. And I think that all comes back into what we're going to discuss later in terms of when paid media stops working, around about owning your audience and actually having that built underneath the kind of paid media aspect, because there's certain things on marketplace that we're seeing now that actually, we're at the mercy of them.
But what do you see, what's the main benefit of still being on marketplaces?
I think it's just the traffic, to be honest. You go on Amazon and you search photo blanket, it has 10,000 searches a week. You kind of can't ignore that, really. We managed to get to the top of the listing on personalised blanket. When that gets to Christmas, we have one channel in the warehouse that's literally just pumping all Amazon business. So we'd like not to be on there, with the fees and everything, but actually just from a search volume, I think you kind of have to be there.
Any other questions?
I'm interested in the go-to-market strategy for you said it, you used the word masculine, your competitors.
Yeah.
Who's your customer and how are you trying to get to them? Because I wouldn't call that like a feminine looking product necessarily, but I'm interested to know who you're going after.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, and I guess it's kind of learning. We don't really have a kind of set kind of person in mind. I know it's a bit funny to say, but it is for the everyday person, the mum that's going down to working out or taking her kids. It is to the guy to the gym, not necessarily that we're appealing to that guy. It is really for the everyday person. I think over time we'll probably learn more about who that ideal kind of customer is and what customer really comes in. The interactions that we've had so far is that, I was in the petrol station the other day and I had the rep van and a 50-year-old lady came up to me and said, I've seen your posts on social, I'm really intrigued by the clean ingredient aspect. And then on the other end, you've got an 18-year-old lad in the gym that's like, I really like the brand. So I think we're just going to learn over the next kind of year or so who that ideal kind of customer is. But essentially, we're talking to everyone.
Any final question? Yes, Ian.
So Max, just a question about the brand.
Yep.
So where are you placing it at the moment? So what type of retail?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, we're only online and marketplaces. Just to kind of take it back a little bit, we've basically been in development since the end of 2024, December. We only launched the shakes 2 months ago now. As you'll know, if you've ever dealt with retailers, it's ridiculously hard to actually open up a conversation with them. The great thing is because we only have 5 ingredients in our shakes in comparison to the traditional shake that has 12 ingredients in. It is a big kind of talking point with retailers because a lot of their things that they want from new brands is now from a sustainability aspect, but also better for you. That's a big thing that's on retailers' mind. We're about to launch in a big retailer, wholesaler in a couple of months' time that I can't actually let you know who that is now, but we've got wholesale, convenience, and then obviously ultimately we want to be in the big supermarkets, but that only comes with time and kind of building the brand, building awareness and everything else that comes with that.
Fantastic. A massive, do twice as loud, DC round of applause.
Thank you.